I recently finished Hell's Paradise and I found Sir Shugen an extremely interesting character. I think his approach to justice was scary yet wholesome to obviously the people around him, and in this video I'll explain why he has a twisted sense of justice. So without further ado, obviously like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know what type of videos you'd like to see. So to begin with, we go with his backstory, and obviously at a young age, Sir Shugen could not understand the Yamada clan's way of thinking when executing criminals, and this was obviously shown, and then he was believed that they should all deserve a painful death. Shugen greatly despised all criminals and truly believed that they are evil no matter who they are, and this was his obviously main resolve. This was then heightened due to the time his parents were killed by a murderer, and he obviously sought revenge against the killer by executing them. So this is the basis and the starting point of his obviously motives and opinions on justice, and we could obviously see in the dialogue from Shion, and he explained the level of intensity he would go through for justice, and in this chapter we found out obviously he killed off an entire clan to prevent the evil spreading from the community. When we get that backstory of obviously Sir Shugen and we hear that he was a formidable person who would hunt down these criminals, I think the biggest twist is when we found out he obviously executed the entire clan to prevent the idea of evil, and I think that is honestly extremely terrifying because he obviously brought innocent people who had no basis or relevance to those actual criminal organizations. And I think it took kind of that, similar to that for obviously One Piece fans of Akainu, of where they want to get rid of the entire bloodline to prevent the spread or potential encouraging of those ideals from those evil people that they deem. And I think it makes him such an interesting character because he sees everything extremely black and white without context. And I think that in comparison to our duologist Sagari, who would take into account both weakness and strength, and it made her such a strong character, and is why her Tao was improved as much as it did. I think that, and she showed a better implication of justice. These polar opinions strengthened Shugen as a character because his sense of justice was extremely flawed, and in essence he wasn't claiming to be righteous or justice as he said he was. This is also strengthened because him killing off everybody without context is flawed in the terms of justice, and he chooses to accept the laws for what they are. He's also not ignorant to this ideology and is obviously shown. However, he chooses to follow this path as he believes there's no other path he can take in this world. He also feels the need to shower and give back to support to the Yamada clan, and he holds those people dear to him, and it means taking extreme measures to protect who he loves. He believes that way of justice is correct to him, and it can be seen as righteous to those obviously around of him. This was obviously enforced in the fact that the reactions of the other Yamada clan members and how they respected Sir Shugen, and even Sagari, who had a far more different approach in how she valued the criminals, she still had that respect for Shugen, and is shown with his affection and obviously care for those around him. I think it was even more strengthened with the fact that when we got to his overall final arrival at the island, you can see his reaction to the different members being passed away, especially that of Sir Aizen and how he had his whole memorial even in the midst of the battle. It showed that he is a deeply flawed character and somebody who does something different but uses that as a way to strengthen himself and take on the pain from others. I think that was shown in the fact that in his fighting styles, he would use obviously different members of the Yamada clan, and it felt as if in a way he would embody that burden and use it to then further his use of justice. And I think it perfectly went out with his obviously conclusion, in which he would use this to push himself to the limit, and that was seen with him obviously expending his Tao to get the final blow in the obviously battle with Rain and the Tensen. And I think the fact that he would go to these extremes and means shows he was the only one who was willing to do that, due to the fact that he had these ideals of justice so strong. Even though his ideals are extremely flawed, it ends up being to the benefit for those around him, and it can sometimes become to a sense where those around him become more appreciative of him. And it wasn't even when they disagreed with his ideologies, they never disagreed with him as a person. They also said he had a soft side, and I think it was more of the context of his backstory that led him to have such strong convictions in his way of justice. And to conclude, yeah, I think Sir Shugen is a great character. I think One thing I loved the most about him was the fact that he would cry, obviously, through the fact when he would fight these people. It showed that he had a sense of hurt, and especially when he had to face his whole Yamada clan opponent when they would not obviously give up the criminals. I thought that little dialogue in between himself and how he would flip the switch to then enact his great justice was a great indication. I think he's a fantastic character, and it showed nicely to obviously the development of character in Durologist and Sagari. But what do you guys think? And obviously, what do you think of him as a character? And what do you guys think of this video? Obviously, like, comment, share, subscribe, and let me know your thoughts down below.